Well, hey guys, how's it going? I know I didn't post a video last week, or actually, I don't think I posted one the week before. But I just figured I'd make this video for you guys because, well, as I know, besides that fan right there behind me, you guys are my biggest fans, and I love you for it. I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, I just wanted to talk to you guys about something here. For one thing, I have this super crazy idea because, I have a 42U server rack that's only half full, and I need to populate it. So I had like this immediate, like, stupid idea after watching some Linus Tech Tip videos, and I want to make a computer setup a lot like Linus's. You know, where like he's got everything in his house mounted on a central server rack, and then he's just running these ridiculously long cables up to where his office area would be. I kind of want to do something similar to that. So I spent like the last hour just throwing stuff on my Amazon wish list to enable that. Specifically, I just need 3 really long DisplayPort to HDMI cables and a USB 3 dock. That's realistically all I need. I can work off of anything else. But anyways, I just threw a couple links on there in the description because, I'm insane like that. And, I think it would be a really cool project. But, I just figured I'd mention that. But anyways, I think I found a distribution that I am going to be really trying to make work for me because it supposedly is unbreakable. And as you guys know, I tend to break a lot of Linux distributions. But what distro am I thinking here that's basically unbreakable? Well, how about the one of where its own community comes out and says that it is impossible to break this distribution? And of course, there's only one distro for that, and that's NixOS. I mean, let me pull up here. Just a quick neo fetch. Yeah, I installed this, and I know that I've installed it before, and I quickly dropped it. And that's just because I just couldn't wrap my head around it, which, I'm digging into it a little bit more. We're going to see if we can get this working. There's realistically only 2 tools that I use on an almost weekly basis that I need to get working on this distribution, and that is Wonderdraft and Dungeon Draft. If I can get one working, I can get the other one working because they're both they both generally should rely on the exact same dependencies. So it's really just changing a couple names in the configuration files or whatever just to get it working. But if I can get those working, that'd be great. I have a project that I'm looking at to get that working. But anyways, why am I using NixOS? Because I think it's cool. I honestly really do think that this is an amazing and cool Linux distribution, and I'm going to see how long I can make this last. And it's got a fucking snowflake for a logo. What's not to love about that? But like, I can just make a change in a configuration file, and then I have it. So even though you see me on GNOME right now, I can completely change GNOME to KDE Plasma and remove everything from GNOME and just have that done in 20 minutes. And then I can just roll back with just a reboot of the system. I don't know why it's only showing 2 monitors. But anyways, NixOS, this is the latest version of NixOS. It doesn't really technically even have a version number. You just get the latest every package. So it is actually a rolling release distribution, kind of, sort of, not really. I guess. I don't know if it's actually a rolling release. But I do know that I am on GNOME 42.2 something. It actually says right there 42.2, and I'm using this on Wayland with I'm using Pipewire to some extent here. I actually have it configured to be my default sound system too. But anyways, what is NixOS? It is a Linux distribution that is intended to be reproducible across multiple deployments. Like you could take this thing, you can copy paste my NixOS configuration onto your own system right now. And you'll get the exact same system that I'm using right now, minus the configuration files, because I haven't gotten around to setting that up yet. But supposedly I can even get this thing down to the point where it automatically sets up all of my configured key bindings, my dot files and everything, which I think is really fucking cool. But what file am I talking about? It's this configuration file, which uses the Nix programming language. So I did install VS Codium that way because I knew that I could get the syntax highlighting working in VS Codium the fastest. Not that VS Codium is the best text editor. It's not really the worst. I haven't gotten around to setting up Emacs on this system yet because, well, I know that Emacs can have the language support, but I want to see if I can get Emacs configured using the home manager configuration, I think it's called. Just to see if like maybe I might be able to get that working. But this is actually a really well documented configuration file, of which I myself have quite heavily modified the general layout for to something that I'm familiar with, being somebody that used to develop World of Warcraft add-ons and work a lot in the Lua programming language, which I'm drawing a lot of comparisons between the Nix syntax and Lua syntax with. So maybe that's actually kind of just helping me. And of course my neighbor's air conditioner just turned on. But anyways, you can see that I've got it set up to use the systemd boot manager. You can see it right there. I am calling some extra kernel options. And I'm setting my time zone in here. I'm setting my I'm telling it that I want to use network manager to manage my network, and then I've got well, actually, you know what? I can probably just make this. Wow, that really scales up fast. Yeah, let's just make it just a little bit bigger like that. Why does it VS Coding things? But you know, I can configure my firewall right here. Like, I don't know about you guys, but you've probably configured stuff like UFW or even IP tables. NixOS, as far as I know, is using IP tables. And this is like the world's easiest fucking firewall to configure. You just tell it, hey, I want these range of ports open, which, by the way, these I open these up for KDE Connect integration. I can also just specify specific ports if I want to. I could drop my proxy in here. Right here's my key map, and you know, like it. You can see here that I'm playing around with some system services. How easy? Okay, so for one thing, if you've created systemd services and you've done like the setting up systemd timers and all that stuff, you'll fall in love with this distribution, because this distribution makes this stuff so freaking easy, because you just declare a table for services, the service you want to declare. So like Pipewire, I want it enabled. Let's enable the ALSA too. Let's enable Pulse, and let's enable Jack support too. That's it. You can see I'm even doing the same thing for Bluetooth. I don't even have a Bluetooth device enabled on the system. You know, I could probably actually just, you know, just take this whole section out. Let's see, open bracket, looks like it's going to close down here. So, you know, I can just take this whole thing out, just like that. And it should work. But I'm not going to do that quite right yet, because, you know, that might break a couple things. You can see I'm enabling the SSH daemon right here too. Right there's cups. Right there's SyncThing. And you can see I'm telling SyncThing that I want to sync this directory, and I want to use this configuration file specifically right here. Like, and I can set up like the devices I'm syncing against too. And you know, that's pretty cool. There is some Flatpak integration that you can set up here. Like, I do have Flatpaks listed here, and I have them enabled. But, you know, like, I can even enable Flatpak repositories, which, by the way, I believe NixOS sets up the FlatHub repository by default. So, like, you don't even have to manually set it up. You just have to tell it to enable Flatpaks, and it's going to set that repository for you, which I think is cool. You can see that I'm disabling pulse audio here because I don't need pulse audio to control my hardware. I've got Pipewire for that. The one thing about NixOS, though, is that if you do not declare a user account in this configuration file, your user's home directory is not going to be persistent. And the only thing that is not persistent would be the only thing that could be persistent would be your password. So you can see I'm setting a custom password right here. And this is an initial password. So the first thing I do is when I get logged into the computer, I change my password. That's really it. And you can see I'm adding myself to groups right here. And right there, I'm disabling the root account because I don't need to log into root if I have sudo because I'm in the wheel group. This is a desktop system. What do I need the root user for anyway? You know, just to enable some virtualization. And here's the thing I love. So far I've talked about like some of the cool things. Let's talk about the really cool thing now. You want to see a package list? Hey, I want all these packages, right? Specifically these packages. I also want OBS Studio. Let's add some plugins for OBS Studio, right? I've got these plugins. I do need to configure them still, but you know, like they're there. What about GNOME? I'm using the GNOME desktop right now. I can configure the GNOME extensions that I want installed on this system. And then, like, my package manager manages my GNOME extensions for me. That's cool. Lighted, you know, like, I'm playing a desktop environment. Let's take this shit out. Like, what do I need Cheese for when, you know, I have OBS Studio? What do I need No Music for when I'm already installing Rhythmbox? What do I need gedit for if I have VS Codium, Vim, Nano comes default on the system, which, you know, I can exclude Nano if I really want to. But, you know, I don't need the GNOME tour. I know generally where I'm looking at for GNOME. Geary, which does come installed by default, I don't like Geary. Like, I really don't like the Geary email client. Just give me plain old-fashioned Evolution, right? And you know what? While we're at it, let's get some hardware drivers for a video card while we're at it. Let's do GNU GPG, and you know, this right here where it says state version. This is because I imported my old NixOS configuration, which, you know, the state version really doesn't matter. It's basically telling the Nix package manager, hey, this is the version that this configuration file is written for, which in my case would be 21.11, which was last year's release of NixOS. It's based off of the year that's released and the month that's released. So in this case, I first wrote this configuration file in November of 2021, and the newest version of Nix came out last month, so that's why it's called 22.05. It takes that naming scheme generally from how Ubuntu does it. And then you can see I'm enabling automatic updates, and they happen every single day at 2 p.m. Because, you know, I typically leave for work at 2 p.m. So this doesn't really matter. But, you know, I've declared basically 99% of my system setup in just 300 lines of code. And if you're a programmer or like you're some guy that you work in DevOps, if you work in DevOps and your job is to spin up and spin down cloud infrastructure, you understand the power that is within, like, this fucking file right here. Just this one. But what about hardware? Like, how do you measure file systems? Well, you know, I've got this file here. And this declares how I mount all my drives. You can see I'm using ButterFS because, you know, it's the world's best fucking file system, right? Right there. I'm enabling virtualization in my Linux kernel because, you know, I have it. Right there's a couple of boot options, right? And, you know, like, we're mounting our disks. We're giving it these mount options. We can mount NFS shares in this, in the same file too. And, you know, I don't even need this file. The only reason why I have this file here is just for, like, you know, keep this file clean. You can see where I'm declaring this file hardware-configuration.nix, and I'm telling my configuration.nix file to include that by imports. And, you know, like I said, I'm still learning a little bit about the syntax of this language, because Nix is a programming language to an extent. It's a scripting language specifically. You're not really doing super real programming language. It's just a scripting language that they created for this distribution. And you know what? I think it's cool. I really do. Much like some other operating systems like OpenBSD or anything like that, these guys came out with a theory of how to build an operating system, and like, is it possible to build an operating system that where you can manage it with something like this? And you know, there are operating systems generally like that. Like the biggest problem that I have with NixOS is that you know, well, actually, I could probably show you real quick. Let's open up our terminal again. Let's just let's echo out our path, which, you know, you can see that we have a system path here. And let's, you know, let's just list out /bin/sh. You can see /bin/sh is going over here. It's a symlink. Let's just do that with all of bin. And you can see in just /bin, it's going over here, right? This Nix story here, so let's look at root real quick. You can see that of root, let's just do user bin. You can see user bin is just like that too, right? Normally in user bin, you have a lot more things. What about, is there an sbin? You know, I could probably just double check myself here. Yeah, there is no sbin right here. But you can see that I have this Nix directory. And inside Nix, I have the store, which this is every single package on the operating system. Like, literally every single package. And you can see this right here is the package name, and they put a hash in front of it. And that hash is purely just more or less for their generation control, because whenever you install or update the system, it creates a generation, kind of similar to, say, a file system snapshot, except that this is for the packages of your operating system. And you know, you can see that every one of these files is in a compressed tarball of some kind. I mean, we can look into some of these files, so let's look into this one, and you can see that's got a lib file inside of it, right? What's inside that lib file? Oh, here's where everything is. And you can see everything here is also symlinked. So, like, if you're downloading a binary off of a website, like, say, a proprietary application, which in my case would be like my Dungeons and Dragons tools. Those are actually pretty important for me because, you know, I love playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I love my players that I play Dungeons and Dragons with. So, like, when it comes down to setting that stuff up, that could be problematic. But, you know, we're working on this. You can see that I found a wonderdraft.nix file, and yes, let's open it. You can see that it's pulling some stuff in. I do need to reverse engineer this a little bit. See if there's a way I can get it to work for me. But you know, it's here and it's available. I found it in just like a Git repository by looking up wonderdraft NixOS. Let's just go over here and let's just give it a quick search here. Wonderdraft NixOS. And this repository right here, Parashra, he has it, and then he links to his own configuration, which I don't even know what I'm looking at here. You know, he did move the source hut. Let's check the source hut link here. And on source hut, you just want to look at the tree, right? And I don't know what I'm looking at here. So I'm going to take some time to look it over. But when we're looking at NixOS here, and say we want to learn about the system, click Learn. And then, they have documentation. It does exist. And there's a lot of it. Of which I'm not necessarily, a programmer or developer of some kind. So it's going to take me some time to learn this system. And, you know, that's pretty cool. The Nix package manager is something that I've always been pseudo curious in, because it's basically just like Flatpak's app images and all that done well before any of those existed. So when people joke about how snaps came first, that's actually a fucking lie. Because Nix has been around since 2003. So, anyways, yeah. I installed NixOS. Maybe 10 LeechOS can just be my NixOS configuration.